playing for 23 years was, you're lucky you're in a footy club environment where you've got a lot of young kids around you and different personalities around you. That was probably the big thing. I could probably switch off, pretty much straight after the game or straight after training. I switched off and could enjoy myself around the group, and that's why I played footy. Really, whether it be 400 games at Essendon or 400 games at Aberfeldy or Duda Stars, I was probably always going to play a lot of footy because I just enjoyed the game, and I think that was the best thing with regard to playing over those 23 years.
If we were taking requests, this has to be a tour. The crowd willing him on. Killjoy, well, he might kick it anyway. He has. Oh, put down the phones. We don't take requests. What a beauty.
When I first arrived it would have been pre-season of '92. It was a little bit different. I obviously was still at school, so my pre-season was pretty much straight from school. It wasn't during the day, so we started training at 6:30 at night. So under the lights at Windy Hill, which weren't too flash, we could sort of only train on part of the ground because that was the only real lit up area. So '93 was. It wasn't a really professional type game. It was you get to training Monday, Tuesday, Thursday at 6 o'clock. You do your skills, you do your weights after training. Every game was a Saturday, 2 o'clock, and that was it. And I was fine with that. Young kid, just loved it. As time kept on going, I think I probably learnt to, there are a few things you had to do extra with regard to, for me it was a lot of endurance work and trying to get the skin folds down and to cover all those things off. So a lot's changed, but definitely good times with some young, with some guys of the baby bombers time with Joe Mercedes and Mark McCurry. I felt pretty at home, from a young age as well, which was great.
Through to Manton, he's buried. McCurry, Fletcher around the corner. The fullback has kicked the goal.
My first game was in the ruck, and then I didn't play there too much, and then I went down. After that, I went down to fullback and played your traditional fullback role for some time. And again, I'd never played fullback either at school footy or at local footy as a young kid. I was always centre half forward or full forward, so I probably had to learn on the job in a way. And but yeah, very tough times. Tony Lockett, Stephen Kernahan, Tony Modra, Peter Sumich, Dunstall. The list goes on. So it was tough days, and lucky enough to have a pretty good back line behind me, and Mark Harvey looking after me, and Gavin Wanganeen obviously won the Brownlow that year, was exceptional as a back pocket, cleaning up everything. So some pretty good players around me at the time.
Fletcher to bring it back into play. Goes straight down the middle. Lovely kick, almost to the centre of the ground. Williams waits at the back.
Probably 7 or 8 guys between sort of 17 and maybe 18, 19. So we did have some young guys, but I think also the confidence that Sheeds gave to the young guys was a big part of it. And he said to me, even when I got my first game, congratulations on your first game, but you're here not just to play one game, you're here to play many games and to play finals and grand finals. And as a 17-year-old kid, all I was thinking was just, I'm happy to get a game and get my $1,000 for a game, and we'd move on. So Sheeds no doubt had a big part of that premiership year.
Number 31, another baby, Dustin Fletcher.
Sheeds for me was always a positive person. I remember a couple of times going in to speak to him about my game, and I thought I was struggling here or there, and he'd pretty much just send me back out and say, just get on with the job and do what you've been doing. And between him and my father and Dad, they were the two people that I really looked up to and took a lot of advice from as a 17, 18-year-old.
Fletcher then, to bring it back into play, he's had a wonderful season for Essendon.
The 2001 was for me was a year that was one of the best years in Essendon's history. So that really stacks up, and even then playing alongside Dean Wallace, Sean Wellman, Mark Johnson, and all these type of guys down back. Even just driving the footy games, being confident you were going to win, and having that presence about that side, that they were sort of unbeatable, apart from obviously that one game against the Bulldogs. It was a special year, and no doubt my best year of footy.
Here he is, the old campaigner, 387 games from 52 metres out. Can you believe that he runs like a young man in his first game? Oh, how good is that?
I remember times when Dad was You know, I was only young when obviously Dad sort of finished up, but I remember even going down as a young kid when Dad was training down at St Bernard's. You know, I would have only been sort of 5 or 6, but I used to love going to training with him. You know, the old days at Windy Hill. We used to love going to the footy, not so much watching the footy, but you know, just being part of that footy club and running around, to be honest, with a lot of the other players' kids. So, but it is special. Obviously, you know, there's been a bit of a tough time, but you know, the way Essendon sort of come out of that, and I've enjoyed my time back at the club the last 12 months, because you know, to see Joe Danaher, again a big Essendon name, you know, play with Anthony obviously, and it's just good to see those kids or guys now going really well, and it'd still be good for them to finish well. I still barrack hard now as I suppose as a supporter, and to see them hopefully get a chance at finals. But for the next 4 weeks we'll see where we go.
Kick in behind the defence, taken by Garland. Can he outrun Fletcher? No, sirree! And a chance for the Bombers to respond here. Wonderful tackle from Fletcher.